What if the supreme gods of the Viking pantheon were actually a displaced cavalry of Iranian steppe warriors? For centuries, our understanding of Norse mythology has relied heavily on the 13th century Icelandic scholar Snorri Sturluson, who documented the origins of Odin and a ruling class known as the Aesir. Snorri claimed Odin was a human war chief who migrated to Scandinavia from Asia. Historians generally dismiss this as medieval fan fiction, a standard attempt by a Christian writer to invent a prestigious ancient pedigree for his ancestors. But Snorri's account provides fixed geographic coordinates and political frameworks that point towards a documented region of the steppe world rather than a mythological void. This level of technical detail identifies the work as a redacted historical dossier that demands cross-examination. This map illustrates Snorri's geographic starting line. He placed his founding figures in Asaland, east of the Tanais, or Don River, the ancient boundary between Europe and Asia. Snorri named the ruling elite of this territory the Aesir, the plural of the Old Norse word as. If we look at the historical record for that exact geographic zone, the North Pontic and Caucasus steppes during late antiquity, we find a direct match. This region was dominated by a formidable Iranian warrior elite known to history as the Alans. This graphic reveals the linguistic connection. Medieval sources universally recorded the exonym for the Alans as the As, Aos, or Asi. This root is preserved in Latin travelogues and multiple state records. The people east of the Don were literally known as the As. We have an exact overlap in both geography and the specific ethnonym of the ruling class. Suggesting this is a random coincidence strains basic logic. Snorri also provided a specific motive for why the Aesir migrated in the first place. He described a period of massive imperial upheaval, where a world-subduing power expanded its borders and forced local rulers to flee their homelands. This panel aligns with the Hunnic shock. In the late 4th century, expanding Huns violently displaced the Alans, triggering a massive refugee crisis that shattered Roman frontiers. Snorri maps Odin's identical migration route through Eastern Europe into Saxland, where he embedded his sons as kings. The historical record confirms this exact trajectory. Alanic cavalry moved west by forming powerful mixed military coalitions with Germanic tribes, including the Vandals and the Suebi. Together, these Alanic and Germanic coalitions successfully conquered territories and embedded into the ruling dynasties of early medieval Europe, precisely as Snorri described Odin doing. A matching catalyst, an identical travel route, and the exact same political integration prove a structural alignment between the Icelandic myth and the real-world Alanic migration. A 4-point alignment covering the name, the geography, the timeline, and the migration route does not occur by accident. To understand how a massive geopolitical event turns into a myth, look at historical compression. Oral traditions take highly complex, multi-generational migrations and squeeze them down into a digestible narrative. Decades of traumatic displacement, warfare, and cultural blending were synthesized into one founder chief, Odin. Snorri Sturluson did not pull these details out of thin air. He acted as a historical synthesizer, using the learned frameworks of the 13th century to document a real population shift that his ancestors had committed to memory. Norse mythology is the final shimmering echo of a forgotten refugee crisis.